All right, guys, welcome to Monday morning, where I take the time to do a little vlog where I'm talking about my life and I try to relate to games mostly. This week, I like to talk about. Let's see, how's a good way to preview what I want to talk about? Okay, a friend of mine asked me a question on Twitter, and it kind of caught me off guard. He asked, "What do you think about Hearthstone Standard?" My initial response immediately was, "What?" He caught me when I was heading to work, so I had no idea what he was talking about. But I did do a little bit of research after work where I found out about the subject. Okay, so here are the facts. Last Tuesday, Blizzard announced that it would be introducing a new way to play their game Hearthstone. They're introducing the idea of formats, and they're starting with two formats. There's Standard and Wild. They're calling it Wild. Much like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and many other trading card games, Hearthstone's going to have its own format in which the cards that are legal, the cards that can be played in it, will be cycled in and out over time. Technically, it's introducing two formats. We already have what they called Wild, which is basically any card that's in existence is legal. In other card games, this would most likely be called Eternal. And then there's Standard, which will only allow certain cards to be played. Standard includes Classic and Basic, which are cards that everyone's given when the game when they build their own account. And it will also only include cards that were released within the current year. The current calendar year and the previous calendar year. So, for example, right now, February 8th, 2016, if Standard were to be a format that could be played, the only cards that would be allowed in it would be the cards from Basic, Classic, Black Rock Mountain, the Grand Tournament, and the League of Explorers. Those are the facts. Now, everything that I'm going to say from here on out mostly are my opinion, unless I say otherwise. This is not the ideas of Blizzard or any other trading card game. These are just coming straight from me. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to give you my opinion on Hearthstone Standard and Hearthstone Wild based on my history as a card player, as a person who plays card games. I've been playing games for at least 10 years. I can't think of any that I've been playing before, 2005, seriously. But I've been playing Magic, Pokemon I played a little bit, and I played a bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! And of course I play Hearthstone. I've been playing Hearthstone since the release. So these are ideas that are coming from my 10 years as a card game player. Introducing the idea of formats is probably one of the good things to happen to Hearthstone. It's in fact good that they introduced it now when Hearthstone is still pretty young. It's really only been out for a few years now, as opposed to 10 years down the line when there's many sets, and this announcement would have had a much huger impact. Again, the idea of Standard means that certain cards won't be able to be played. For example, Curse of Naxxramas, that's the first adventure that came out. Cards from that set can't be played in Standard. Goblins and Gnomes, that was the first expansion. Cards from that expansion can't be played in Standard. So we're only missing two sets of cards. That's not so bad. Imagine if this was 10 years down the line. Imagine how many sets we would have had that you can't play in. So it's not devaluing previous cards so much. That's good, because that means that older players, they're not so hurt. I mean, if they would have ever introduced formats, it would have hurt somebody, but it's not as bad. Also, the fact that they're introducing formats means that we have this conversation a lot less. Ooh, what's that card? It's Antonidas. Whenever I cast a spell, he gives me a fireball. Sounds like a lot of fun if you can keep him alive. I want one. Go for it. He's a legendary, so you can either buy booster packs to get one or craft it with 1,600 dust. That's a lot of dust. And that conversation can go for any legendary. That conversation can go for any card in the game, really. The fact is that there's a lot of the cards that are in Hearthstone, and we're only in, the third year, I believe? I lost count. We're not that far out, sorry. As time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder for new players to feel like they're not being overwhelmed when they try and play Hearthstone with people who've been playing since the beginning, and they don't have all these cards that they have. So that's another reason Standard is a good thing. It gives it gives a sort of playground for new players to play in and still feel like they can compete with people who exist. Oh shit, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It feels like it gives them ground to be able to play the game. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. They're able to play in this game. They're not competing in a race that they can't win, is what I'm going for. I hope that makes sense. The idea of introducing a format in which cards are cycled in and cycled out of legality means that they're going to have to more frequently release sets that have cards that matter. Again, we only have 6 sets that are available to use for building cards right now. That's not a lot of options when there's 100, anywhere between 100 and 170, I believe it is, cards for each set. That's not too many options on how to build different decks. We're going to run into situations where everybody has Secret Paladin. Everybody has, what's another one? Mech Mage, I guess. I don't know. I don't play. I suck at Hearthstone, but I know what I'm talking about when I say we won't have too many options. Everyone's going to keep running. Everyone's either going to keep running the same decks or keep running into the same decks. And neither one of those is good for Hearthstone's longevity. A friend also mentioned, different friend mentioned that the introduction of Standard means that Blizzard can now release cards that would be OP, overpowered, or broken with cards that currently exist for Wild format. I'm here to tell you, matter of fact, I'm here to tell you right now that could be the worst fucking thing Hearthstone could ever do. We're going to go ahead and give that the title of the worst fucking thing ever. This is a note directly to Blizzard right now. That's the worst way to have your card game continue. Releasing cards that would be okay for Standard, but would completely tear apart your older formats. Because again, there's going to be a time where these cards cycle out of Standard, but they'll still be existing in Wild. We don't want another one of these situations, do we? Didn't think so. All right, let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh for a second. I haven't mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh on this channel at all until now. Let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh. The reason I typically don't talk about Yu-Gi-Oh is because I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. And the reason I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore is for a term called power creep. You guys are going to learn something today. What's power creep? It's time for Professor Chill. In short, power creep is when cards that are printed today are more powerful than the cards yesterday. Power creep is almost inevitable, but there's a way it could be controlled. It could be done in ways that are responsible and keep the game healthy. And Yu-Gi-Oh ain't fucking it. See this card? It's called Raigeki. It's a spell card in Yu-Gi-Oh. When you cast it, you destroy all the monsters your opponent controls. Why did I bring this card up in the middle of a talk about Hearthstone? Power creep. For as long as I can remember, this card has been banned in tournaments because it's too powerful. I bring up this card because of 2 words. Power creep. The entire game has gone through power creep to the point where Raigeki is no longer too powerful. Blizzard, if you take anything away from what Konami has done to Yu-Gi-Oh, power creep. Finally, it's been announced that the adventures and expansions not legal in Standard won't be available for purchase through the in-game shop, and cards from those adventures and expansions can't be won as rewards. For example, if you're doing ranked and you get it to a certain level, typically you'd win a card. Right now, you can win a card from anything at all. But when it comes to the release of these formats, you will not be able to win those cards from those sets or expansions. If you already have the first wing of an adventure, you can play through that adventure to completion, but otherwise, you have no way to access those adventures for the same price. If I didn't already dub making cards that would be OP with cards that already exist, the dumbest thing, this would probably be it. I can understand why this might have been done, and it's most likely in order to keep new players from buying cards in the wrong format from them. But there's nothing that can separate Hearthstone more from a physical card game than not allowing us to buy older cards for cheap. This is just another thing to put on that list of things that Hearthstone says they want to do to make it feel just like a physical card game, but they're doing the complete opposite. In short, I'm excited to hear about Standard and Wild because, again, that's another way to play. It not only lets new players benefit from being new to the game, but it also lets older players who don't have access to all the older cards or who don't want to buy cards with real money the opportunity to get in the limelight as well. I'm going to try Standard for a while. I'll see how that goes. Like I said, I play a lot of card games, so I wouldn't say I'm good, but I'm familiar with how the metagame changes between one format to the next. Oh, yeah, they're giving us more deck slots. Woo. But that's Monday morning, guys. Thanks for taking time to listen. Feel free to share this with somebody and post in the comments below how you feel about Standard, Wild, Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Raigeki, all of that shit. Feel free. Catch you guys next week. Oh, next week's Mail Monday. I wanted to do it this week, but then this happened. So I'll catch you guys next week with Mail Monday. Bye.